Oh, no! Such a rookie mistake. Never start a show like that with your microphone muted. That's a Sean-ism, isn't it? Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show. God, I was coming in so enthusiastically then as well because I've been away for so long. But, oh well, all best laid plans and all that. I hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to tonight's show. Great to see so many of you here, as always. Sorry we've been away for a while. We were due to come back to you last week, but what crazy weather we all had. Well, certainly up here in the kind of Midlands and the Northwest, it was absolutely insane. I have never, I think it's safe to say, I mean, I've flown all over the world in my time in the military and around that, and crikey, it was the storms that we had here, it's safe to say, were the worst I've ever seen in the UK by a long, long way, and also kind of on a par with those that I've seen around the tropics, and yeah, pretty insane. Let us know if you were hit by any of those, but to be honest, last week it was so hot that, I mean, it's hot in here anyway with all the screens and the computer going and all that sort of stuff, all the lights. But yeah, it was crazy hot, and I think everything would have given up if I'd not have given up through the heat. And then we had a crazy thunderstorm as well. So it was just one of those, I think, unfortunately, where it wasn't going to work. And on top of that, our guests that I had lined up last week, they were struggling with their internet and computers. They'd had lightning strike near their home. So it just, yeah, I'm sorry we couldn't come to you last week. Unfortunately, I haven't managed to get that guest back tonight. So it's myself and Sean, but quite a lot to talk about. Just seen a message from Sean that he's ready to rock. A few technical issues. So I will give him a shout very soon. Just quick jump in, Agent K, hello, first thumbs up, very good, very good. Everyone, don't forget, give us a like, press that thumbs up button right now. Gosh, nothing to do. Protea Aerial Media, hello, in the company account. Vic from Digcart, hello Vic. Steve Fuller in here, message retracted, was it something rude? Interesting. Jonathan Andrews, hello. Lindsay, hello. Lindsay, did you see that you'd passed your OE the other day? Congratulations if you did. Steve Fuller, blue skies, a few cirrus clouds, zero wind in Belper, so naturally in background I'm watching on the iPad. No wind. That's crazy. It's getting kind of crazy windy here at the moment. I think it's going to go mad over the next 24 hours on this west side of the country. So again, you know, look after yourselves, stay safe, be careful. Lindsay Hayes, high winds and RF jamming all day in Herefordshire. Well, there we go. There goes another drone. I hope you didn't actually lose a drone to that. But yeah, I've seen quite a few things on the groups actually about this GPS jamming, I think, is probably what it is that you're referring to. Interesting that it does happen quite often. It's not something which you know, is an irregular occurrence. It happens fairly regularly. I know we certainly used to do it or have it done to us when we were on the military side of things. Wasn't actually aimed at us in the aircraft, although we had ways of making the GPS fail on board so that our students and people that we were training up to become combat ready pilots had to go back to the old school ways, you know, clock, map, compass, that kind of thing, to navigate around. But it was more to stop the GPSs for the guys and girls on the ground working, was what the jamming that used to happen when I was involved with it, so that they were forced, because that's probably what would happen in a non-permissive environment. So you know, if we were in enemy territory in an area that we didn't control the airspace, we didn't have air superiority, we would, yeah, they would practice GPS jamming. The reality is though that actually we would have something called P codes on board the aircraft, which would allow us to or our systems to reject the jamming signal and give us a full GPS signal. So quite interesting. But yeah, obviously I guess it will have an impact on us operating, so just be careful. And another great reason to be able to operate your drone in ATI, which I will talk about later on. There we go. Right, Elsbeghead, hello sir. Agent K, even noticed that you are monolingual today. Camwings, hello James, nice to see you. Good to see you in the Discord the other day as well. It's been very quiet in the Discord as well. I don't really know why. I think, as I say, people going back to, hopefully back to normal, and I hope it is pretty much back to normal for you wherever you are, means that you're able to you don't need the reliance of that necessarily. But we are there and free to chat and help if you want to get a hold of me. So but James is quite active in that. Excuse me, Big G, George, hello, nice to see you. That's great. Shirley and I are in the pub. El Smeghead in the pub, shocker. At least you're not in the hot tub at home. David Benham, hello, from a very hot Cyprus. Jealous, man. Crowded Space Drones, hello. The studio just collapsed all behind me. Loads of boxes fell off, and like the green screen went and fell on me. So I had to kind of sort all that, which was pretty funny. Brian Forward, Peter Campbell, hello. Sean will be joining us shortly. Chris Caswell, Echo Alpha. I don't know whether we've got Adam or Alex in. I'm guessing it's Adam this time. Andy Keast, hello. A new name. I've not seen that one before. Wilderness and Ale, hello. And my thing has just jumped and I've lost all of the things. But hopefully, there we go. Not missed too many people. Drone Seekers International, Brian Forward, Lindsay, Big Bow, who else? Why did it jump then? But there we go. Mr. Totty Hunter, hello. James Hanson, hello. Right, so MH Outdoors, hello. There we go. Now, before I give Sean a shout, in fact, I'll give Sean a shout. Should I give Sean a shout now? Sean's ready. Let's get Sean on. Let's have a chat with Sean because there's a bunch of stuff that we need to talk about that's happened over the last couple of weeks. And he's going live tonight at 10 o'clock on his channel with Lib, I believe. More on that in a second. So I know he probably wants to get in and get out. So let's give Sean a shout. Stand by for the Skype dance. Hopefully all of this works. It's been a while. I've got to remember what I need to do. Oh, it was so fast. Here we go. Oh, yes.
Unmute the microphone. Unmute them.
Unmute. Yeah, I did a Sean officially.
I haven't done all of the pre-checks tonight, so
No.
I apologise.
Right.
If do I sound okay?
You sound absolutely fine. You sound glorious as ever.
Wonderful. Yes.
Nice. How you doing?
Just before we have to go online, don't we? It's always the way. Life would be boring without tech falling apart around our ears. I'm good, sir. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. I know I've been quiet over the last couple of weeks, and I know you and I have chatted a couple of times over that time about it, but all good, thank you. It's we're getting there. It's been nice to spend a bit of time with the family and finally get to spend some time with my two very young boys. So that's where I've been, everybody, if you've been wondering. It's just 3-4 months of lockdown now, and needed to dedicate a little bit of time to family rather than because life's too short.
Well, it is, most certainly.
So there we go. How about yourself then?
Been pretty busy on the channel actually. Almost the opposite. Been doing lots of YouTubing and avoiding the family.
Excellent.
It seems to be a sort of as business is struggling to get back to normal. The drone world is getting busier and busier again with leaks and things happening and not happening, and it's been a very, very busy period, which is awesome. Excellent.
And it is good to see that you're still managing to do those bits on the channel, and I mean, like you say, for yourself, it hasn't really stopped, has it? Which is good.
No, indeed. I mean, I did take just about over a week off a couple of weeks ago to have a little bit of a break as well, which was a bit of an unplanned break. There've been some fun developments. Obviously, lots of drone news, lots of updates to different drones, and this sort of thing. People losing their heads over a zoom on the Mavic Air 2.
Yeah.
Who knew that's all that DJI needed to do? Really was give people a zoom,
a digital zoom as well at that.
Yeah, to make everyone go crazy. Although I have seen some absolutely fantastic results from it, actually. So I'm wondering what is definitely going on there. Obviously, it's a digital zoom, but I'm wondering if there's something going on with the sensor there, because I saw a shot last night from Londonard, who some people in the chat will know, and he got a really nice parallax effect going on an orbit he was doing using the zoom.
Nice.
It was really impressive for a digital zoom.
That's very cool. I suppose, to be honest, with the processing power that they've got in there and the sensor kind of the prowess that they've got with the sensor and the lenses, it's it's not surprising that they can start pulling off these incredible things now.
Yes, exactly. But I think most people with the Air 2 are still waiting to see the smart controller compatibility come online, which I think a lot of people are very excited about. I think they'll actually sell quite a few controllers. So the people that already own one or the other that are waiting for the compatibility before they buy. So
yeah, interesting. And it's yeah, I was going to say it's interesting that you mentioned that, but that is one of the things that we are waiting for, right? That compatibility. It's weird, I think, that hasn't happened.
I've been told that the Sky controller. I always want to call it the Sky controller because I have Parrot drones. They're the Sky controllers for those. But it's. I've been told that the smart controller runs on 32-bit and the Fly app is on 64-bit. So quite a bit of work to bring the two together. It's going to be quite a major update to the smart controller. So it'll be interesting to see how they get around that problem.
Interesting. Yeah, because if they can't upgrade the core software for the smart controller, then that might, unless they run, the other way around, it'd be easier, I guess, from a programming perspective.
That's right.
But difficult to.
You want to see how they get around, and I know that I'm not sure if it's this issue that sparked a lot of people talking about there potentially being a smart controller 2, or whether that was around just before, but it'll be interesting to see which way they go. I know that there have been instances in the past where a very popular update has been coming and then has never eventually come along. So I think some people are nervous, hence why some are holding off buying one or the other. So I think certainly as an Air 2 owner myself, I would probably buy the smart controller if they sort out compatibility.
Interesting. So DJI, if you do happen to watch this at some point in the next couple of weeks, take note. You'll have, might cost us it with existing smart controllers an upgrade. Yeah, exactly that. There's people talking about that. Sorry, to just change the subject ever so slightly, I've seen someone saying that you are out of sync. I've just tried to sync it up a little bit better. It's not Sean, it's me. Can I mention about the thing that we are trying to do?
Yes, and please do, please.
So Sean and I are looking at doing a podcast together. And making that a regular thing. It'll be a really cool collaboration that we're quite excited about. But unfortunately, for some reason, although I am in like literally the fastest system, no expense spared to get this up and running, for some reason we just cannot get my computer to sync audio and video. And the idea behind the podcast was that we were going to sit at a table and do it face to face, a couple of cameras and record it on set and do a number of episodes in one go and pop them up over a space of time, which obviously we can't really do at the moment. So it's really frustrating, the sync thing. So I think I've put it back to the settings that we tried and
we literally broke Matt's system. Parts and re-downloaded plugins. It wouldn't happen. Very bizarrely, we managed to get it almost to the perfect point, and then it shoots the other way, doesn't it? The voice versus mouth movement. We got it both, so we had it was very strange. Yeah,
it's very, very strange. So I think I might. Yeah, anyone wants a £5,000 sim rig? It's yours for $4,998 because I can't get the video and audio to sync.
Crazy.
Yeah. There we go.
Have you tried Flight Sim 2020 yet, Robin?
I have, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute because
start using it on my system very soon. So
yeah, there's a couple of bits that I want to talk about on it, but I'm going to leave that till after if that's okay. Now, I've noticed this. People say that your sound's dropping out when you're talking. It is a little bit, and it's not coming through to me. Just so you're aware, mate. So it might be.
Is that helping anything?
Have you got a noise gate on?
No, I don't actually.
Oh. But yeah, that's fine. It seems to be okay. I think it seems to be when we talk at the same time.
Oh, okay.
For some reason, so I have to sync ourselves. And Sean's audio is a couple of seconds behind on my end. I'm sorry, guys. There's nothing I can do. But right, so let's get into it then. There's a couple of things. Mavic 3. What do you know or not know?
Well, we're talking about this on my live stream later this evening with Lib and Mikey from Philly Drone Life, who's our guest this evening. But my thought process is that no one knows anything, frankly, and it is the most rumored piece of technology outside of iPhones going, frankly. We've had so many false dawns, and the news stories I've started to read recently. And I've nothing against the publications that are making these particular stories, etc. But I read one saying that that DJI had made a board decision not to bring the Mavic 3 out until after there was a presidential change in the States, in case Trump tried to ban them. And it's like, I'm sorry, that isn't how DJI make their decisions.
No.
That isn't what goes on, and they are, they're making those decisions last year, not now. DJI are a huge company. And for a product launch, there's a very, very long and carefully thought out route to release, which they have to go along. And there's no way they'd be making ad hoc decisions like that unless they were much more serious. And certainly, if they release the Mavic Air 2 in the height of a pandemic, they're not going to worry about who's in power in the States to release what will be the most awaited drone probably in the last decade at the moment.
Yeah.
But it's almost, to me, it's almost become a bit of a caricature, and it's almost become a bit of a caricature about the rumor mill almost. And I love the rumor mill. It's great to think about. And as I say, we're talking about it tonight as well. And I love to think about what's coming and what might be next, etc. But for this one, that unfortunately people keep predicting release dates and price and spec and everything else like that, and they have no clue. They have no information. I can almost guarantee it. And it's frustrating because you hear a lot of people saying, I'm not going to buy the Mavic Air 2 because I'm waiting for the Mavic 3. And you think that's a shame, because that's a lot of months lost where they could be enjoying a very capable drone right now.
Yeah. And this has always been one of the things, obviously DJI are very good, I would say, at keeping quiet what's going on. And obviously there's two ways of looking at it, aren't there, I suppose. There's the Apple way, where they show it to us 8 months before it's even ready, but they've tested it and stuff. But then, or there's the DJI way, which is like, it's available for sale now. Oh, and that's when they start the live stream event to show you it coming out. But yeah.
I think the difference between the Mavic 3 and lots of other launches like the Mavic Air 3 and the Mavic Mini, and even now the new Ronin is started to leak as well, is that we get hard evidence as far as we get actual pictures of the products. And that to me is a very, very different thing, because we've got something quantifiable. We can say, look, this is a DJI aircraft, we just don't know what it's going to be yet. And whether you agree that DJI are part of that process or not is highly litigious.
Yeah.
And highly debatable, but you could argue it would serve, if you look at people like Apple, it does serve companies to have leaks out there about upcoming products.
Yeah.
And the fact that we've had these leaks about everything else, and all we've had with the Mavic 3 is some hand-drawn images from people on Twitter, just leads me to believe that people don't know what's happening yet. I've previously said I'm not sure whether or not the Mavic series will even continue due to the changing regulations in Europe and the States.
Yeah.
Whether actually the Mavic Air 2 was kind of the Land Rover Discovery, the parts bin of all the bits and pieces to bring one nice last drone together, and then move on to a different name and a different form factor.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting. But for me, the Mavic 3 is still a unicorn.
Yeah, okay, and that's good that someone with their ear to the ground like you have doesn't know anything extra in a way, because I think if you want a Mavic Air 2, go and get a Mavic Air 2. Because a Mavic 3 comes out doesn't mean that tech is any less capable than it was when you bought it, and I guarantee to everybody out there, to a man or a woman, you are the limiting factor when it comes to modern day aircraft. Like your Mavic 2 Pro and Zoom and the Mavic Air 2 are better than I could operate it, right? And as a professional who's flown very big aeroplanes for a living for a long time. So you know, if you want one, go and get one. Don't wait around for the Mavic 3.
Exactly, and we've got a viewer video on our stream tonight, which was actually taken by a Spark, and it's phenomenal. But it's because the guy really knows the drone. He takes his time with it. He's very careful with his joystick control. He sets his shots up. And it's phenomenal. And you know, when I first saw it, people very kindly send their videos in to us to play out. And when I first saw it, I thought, oh, this must be the Air 2 or maybe a Mavic 2 Pro. And then when I read the description, it said this is me. I've just got used to my Spark. I was like, crikey! I was kind of blown away a little bit, and it reminds me of exactly that fact, that it is the operator as much as the technology. And I still see really good footage taken with the original Mavic Pro.
Oh yeah.
And the tech in the Mavic Air 2 and the tech in the Mavic 2 Pro is absolutely fantastic. And depending on the wind conditions and where you fly, those are two very exceptional aircraft, frankly. In actual fact, interestingly, one of our news stories this week was a flyer in New York who actually took some footage of Hart's Island, where they were having the COVID-19 mass burials. He had his drone confiscated, which was a Mavic 2 Pro, and he found himself again actually buying another one, despite the fact that he is a high-end professional photographer. He's award-winning National Geographic photographer. He has the Inspire 2, and he said he loves the lens on the Inspire 2, but just the quick flight of the Mavic 2 Pro, and therefore the standard of the quality of footage he gets from it is an okay compromise compared to the Inspire 2, because he can just get it in the air so quickly. So that's again another professional saying you don't have to have the Inspire 2 with the X7 and XYZ. You know, you can get an awful lot from these small drones these days.
Yeah, that's it. And it's like I say when I get on the phone now to people, or if I'm consulting with people, they're like, oh, I think I should buy this and put this camera on it. I'm like, no, I could get broadcast standard footage. I could get what you're looking for by buying a Matrice 210 and putting a massive camera underneath from a Spark or a Mavic, because I know the system and I've got thousands of hours practice using it as a proper tool. I don't need the latest thing. The only reason we would use a bigger drone, which increases the risk and increases the value we've got in the air, which we don't want to do, is if production need us to fly a bigger camera. That's purely it.
Yeah, and you do hear more and more stories now of the professional flyers, and even some surprisingly large studios that do this, where they will get the Matrice out for the client quote almost, you know, when they're going down and meeting the client and they're showing the equipment.
Yeah.
And that's the last time they get it out for the rest of the job. It's as you say, it's much smaller aircraft that actually capture the footage, because because they are able to broadcast quality out of it these days.
Yeah, it's exactly what we used to do when we would turn up on set. We would get the Aerogun out, or we'd get the Alta out, and then we'd go and fly the Inspire 2. You know, but they would all see it and go, wow, that's amazing, because 90% of the people in the kind of crew area never came to the area that we were shooting at anyway, so they would just think, what, that's awesome, that's the biggest drone we've ever seen, that must be wicked, and then they'd not realise that you do it with someone else. So yeah, you know, people saying it's not what you've got, it's what you do with it that counts, which has never been more true. Yeah.
My life somewhere else, some other lecture. But yeah, no.
It's crazy. It's funny though you mentioned the Inspire 2, because I know I mentioned this to you the other day. I've got nothing solid on this because, again, as we've said, DJI even keep us as retailers and distributors out of the loop now. But interestingly, there was a kind of distributor offer on the Inspire 2 a couple of weeks ago. And we can't really get hold of them at the moment. So I don't know why that would be, because I certainly haven't been, as far as I'm aware, any rumours of an upgrade to the Inspire 2 itself.
I did see one.
Have you? Okay.
Well, there is talk of there being actually a new, that the Mavic 3 will be a Mavic 3 and a Mavic 3 Pro. And the Mavic 3 will be a smaller aircraft, and then the Mavic 3 Pro will have the Inspire type legs lift up. And I have seen some schematics to show that. But again, I really felt like that I can't see. I really can't see DJI dropping or bringing two lines together like that, especially in the current marketplace. I could see them, perhaps they might drop the Inspire 2, although it's so hugely popular, and it's a headline grabber for them as well.
Yeah.
But to have two under one branding, a Mavic 3 and Mavic 3 Pro being so different, I can't see it personally.
Interesting. But yeah, it's I've only ever seen that move from DJI when something new is in production.
Yes.
So it's yeah. So we will see on that one.
No, I'm excited, but the main thing I would say about the Mavic 3, and the final thing I would say about anything like that, is unless we get to the point where, like we did with the Air 2 and the Mini, where we actually have photographs of the product coming through from the beta testers and leaked from retailers who put the pages up early, that type of thing, then 99% of the rumors are just that, they are rumors, and fly what you have or buy what's available, because it's also unlikely that the next drone, you're not going to be going from the Wright brothers airplane to the Starship Enterprise with any of these upgrades. The next drone will be fantastic, but it won't be as fantastic as we're all imagining it will be, in my opinion.
No, because there's only so far they can go, right? Like, it's like the smartphone thing now. It's like, well, it's a bit of a better camera, add another lens, and It's got more RAM and more storage. Exactly. Like, where do you go, right? 6K. 8K, like that's but there we go. When our computers can cope. Turns out mine can't even keep audio in sync, so there we go.
I bet it can play a 6K video.
Oh, you're damn right it can, yeah. It can, I just can't listen to it, so it looks very pretty. The final bit then on the DJI side of things, DJI FPV drone, any news on that?
Again, okay, so we have something more solid on this, where we actually have the photo that was leaked with the blurry parts to it, which again, I suppose, going on what I was saying before, at least we have something on it. But again, the only real reason that you would think it's an FPV is because it has 3 blades on the rotors, and there was some mud on the front of it.
Standard FPV, yeah.
So people were like, FPV! Well, actually, you could argue it is a test bed for a gimbal, but I'm not going to say no. I think yes, there is probably something FPV coming from them, and I think it will be a little bit like the EDU products, the educational products that they bring out, like the RoboMaster, similar, and the Tello educational. So I think it will be a fixed unit that you put together, and you have to go back and buy their parts, rather than necessarily being an open source product where you can put anyone's motors on there and that type of thing, which of course the FPV community are so used to doing. So I think it will be, I'm almost trying to coin the phrase FPV light.
Yeah.
So it'll be a beginner's package, if it is at all, because the shape of the bird, even with the pixelation, still looks very Mavic Mini-esque to me, and I'd be surprised if they brought something out that had the full casing, if it is going to be something FPV driven.
Yeah. I mean, for me on that one, I think it's one of those that it would make total sense given DJI's previous history. Like, and again, I know we chatted about this on the phone briefly the other day. It's like, they brought out flight controllers first. That's what they were. They were a flight controller company. And then they realised that actually people are putting our flight controllers into other frames, so let's make frames. And then it was like, well, hang on a minute. We've made this. Why not make that a product, which became the Phantom? And on it went from there. So, they've got the DJI digital FPV system with the controller and the flight controller and the goggles. I'm like, actually, do you know what? I think it would make sense for them to then bring out a unit which is something that you can buy that's off the shelf, because there are, as much as the FPV community at the moment is one where everyone wants to build their own thing and get their soldering irons out. That was what it was like when we first started with drones. Like, that's what we did, and we prided ourselves on doing it and knowing everything. Now I don't even have the option of doing that, because you can't buy kits for this kind of stuff anymore. So I think that is naturally the way these things are going to go, and I think personally, I think that's really exciting, because when you look at the RoboMaster, which for me was a non-event, I was like, what is this all about? Like, stick to what you know, guys.
For us, was it? It wasn't for our market, I don't think, either.
No, it absolutely wasn't. But they did that they brought out the RoboMaster League, and it was like, okay, you can see now their thought process, because I'm sure they've sold hundreds of thousands of those units to people who are now fighting those in a league around parts of Asia. I think they'll go the same with the FPV side of things. I think they'll bring it out and they will have their own DJI Digital FPV League that will be properly funded, it will be properly marketed, and it will change FPV. And again, I get enough hate from the FPV community anyway, right? But I think it's going to change FPV.
Potentially.
Part of it.
I think they might actually come in and identify that chunk of audience that's there that want to do FPV, that don't want to do the soldering and everything, like you say. And I think there's actually enough there for them to corner that market next.
Yeah.
And perhaps they'll do it in stages, as they have done previously, where they've brought out the air kit and then they go into a starter kit and then they go more serious from there. But I've always said, why on earth there isn't a DJI FPV League out there? They should be sponsoring it, even if they don't sell FPV equipment. Frankly, I think they're a natural fit for that arena.
They certainly are. Yeah, that's very interesting, eh? Good stuff. Well, mate, thank you ever so much. It's nice to have a catch up with you, a long catch up as well, long overdue.
Yes.
Thank you. Where can everybody catch you next? Tonight at 10 o'clock.
Yes, I'll be on, especially now that we know things work again. In an hour and 20 minutes. It's going to be an interesting one. We have the very loud and awesome Mikey from Philly Drone Life on as a special guest. He is known for his colourful nature. So catch us quick, because we could be taken off air within about 15 minutes. There's always a risk with these things.
Nice.
But it'll be myself and Liz. And again, we've got lots of fun bits and pieces, including some great viewer videos, etc. Catch us at 10 o'clock UK time.
Great stuff. Well, mate, thank you ever so much. I look forward to catching you then. And see what you get up to. I've just dropped another link. It will pop up in a second, hopefully in the chat. There we go, to Sean's channel. Please go over and support Sean and all the work he does, and go and enjoy his show this evening. A lot of time and effort goes into Sean's shows, lots of curation and all that sort of stuff. So it's not like me where I just jump on and natter.
5 minutes, honestly.
yeah, right. 5 minutes of sheer terror before you go live.
I'm so jealous of your workflow with the live streams, because I know you approach it from the opposite side of things. So it's like I get a message from you about sort of 4 o'clock this afternoon. Coming on tonight?
Yeah.
Whereas me, I've already had 3 tech tests with Mikey and spoken to him on the phone yesterday, and we've got everything lined up and ready.
Nice. I am your tech test. That's what I look at. I'm like. Ace, mate. Thank you ever so much. Have a good one, and look forward to catching you this evening. I'll see you very soon.
See you later.
Cheers, dude. Bye-bye. There we go. Massive thanks, as always, to Sean Hickey from GEEKSVANA for joining us. Sean, going live after this, there's nothing I can think of doing worse than actually kind of jumping on someone else's show and then jumping onto your own show. So big shout out to Sean for doing that. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that. Lots of interesting and useful information, hopefully, about the DJI stuff in particular at the moment, which, as Sean mentioned, is quite an interesting place. So, if just a quick one, if you are watching, please don't forget to press the thumbs up, give us a like. It really does help us out. Drop into the chat anything that you want to ask me questions on. I know I'm not around as much at the moment on YouTube. That will be changing once the children go back to school. But as I say, a bit of family time is very important at the moment. If you do want to ask a question, obviously you can see the chat's quite busy. Please don't forget that you can help support the channel and help support the show by giving us a super chat or dropping a super sticker in. Any of those would be very, very much appreciated. So there we go. Right, couple of things then. It's been quite a big couple of days in the online aviation communities at the moment. In the last couple of days, sorry, just seeing a couple of the comments coming in, trying to keep up with those. The Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, lots of people have been asking about. I will be doing a full series on Flight Sim 2020 over the coming months. people getting into it and all that sort of stuff. And I will be streaming it on Twitch as well. Again, I know I've been quiet on there, but we do have a plan. It's just about getting kind of life back to normal, or as normal as it can be, and getting that time back. Now, Flight Sim 2020, I'm coming at this from someone who has invested a lot of time and money into flight simming. I've done it for a very long time. It's how I got into flying originally, stepped away from it for a long time, and came back into it probably about a year ago now, when ironically I was asked to do some bits towards Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, which bizarrely, I think alpha testers, we're still under the NDA not allowed to discuss what we did, although we're allowed to kind of say what we did. So yeah, not allowed to say what we did, but we're allowed to say that we were part of it. So when I saw it for the first time, I was absolutely blown away. Now, anyone who has seen it will know what I'm talking about, and yes, it does look, on a reasonably fast system, it looks like the videos that you've seen. It is an incredible environment. However, at the moment, as someone who flies aircraft and has done so for a living, it isn't quite there yet. It does, to me, feel like a game at the moment. I would say, and I'm surprised that it was released when it was. I'm sure it was done that way for a reason. But I personally feel as though it's the same product that we tested almost a year ago, which was an alpha product. I feel as though it feels like a beta product, and I know a lot of people are probably going to hate on me for saying that, but it just doesn't quite feel as though it's 100% there at the moment. So for me, I have it. I've got the full premium deluxe version. Even though we had a kind of review version, we've had to buy a proper version of it, the retail version of it, to be able to carry on using it. And it is phenomenal. It is incredible. But it isn't a mature product yet. What they have done with it, though, is raised the bar in terms of technological prowess, I would say, in terms of simulator platforms. So I want to be a fanboy of Flight Sim 2020, and like I say, you'll see loads of content coming from it because it looks beautiful. It just doesn't quite fly and work yet like X-Plane 11. For me, I'm going to stick to my serious simming in X-Plane at the moment. And I wish X-Plane looked like Flight Sim 2020, but the fact that the flight models are mature, the fact that I've got, I've got the payware aircraft that are mature, I've got the controls and a 5-screen setup and all that sort of stuff that works because I've got it dialed in with X-Plane. You don't have that level of controllability and customizability within Flight Sim 2020 yet. And I say yet because Asobo Studios, who are behind it, have said, this is a product that we are going to build on and we're going to keep developing it. And actually, when you look at Microsoft Flight Simulator as a platform, Flight Sim back in the day, but when it really picked up, 95, 98, Flight Sim 2000, 10-year product development cycles for Microsoft on the Flight Sim side are what they're looking at. And I tell you what, if this thing is as good as it is today, or 2 days ago on release day, if it's that good on release day, in 6 months or a year's time, when they release the triple screen, where we can adjust the screens and all that sort of stuff, it's one of those that it's gonna be phenomenal, guys. And if I'm honest, I would, if you're not into flight sims, if you haven't experienced something like X-Plane, or you've been too is this flight sim thing a bit geeky? What's it all about? Go and get Flight Sim 2020 because it's a great point to get in. And I think that's one of the things that they have nailed with it. You can gamify it and dial everything down and make it feel like a game, okay? Hence why I think it's going to come out on Xbox. But then you can crank it up, put it on ultra realistic, and it looks amazing, and I think eventually it will feel amazing as well. So yeah, you know, get your questions coming in for Microsoft Flight Sim. Let me know the things you want to see, and I will make videos on that as well, because I think it is going to change flight simulation on PC for forever. It is that good in terms of a platform. Now, one of the cool things that you can do is, if you're on the fence with it, go and get, now I've not done this myself because I bought the kind of full thing. One of the things you can do, by the sounds of it, is go and get a Microsoft Xbox Game Pass, and you'll have to do a bit of research on this yourself, which I think costs £1 for your first month subscription, and then you can download any game at a standard level, from what I understand, one of which is Flight Sim 2020. So you can get it for £1, from what I've heard, by getting a Microsoft Xbox Game Pass and play it for a month. Don't forget to cancel that subscription if you don't want it to carry on and get charged, but if you do, then crack on. So yeah, go and have a look at it for £1. What have you got to lose? All right, £1. You can't even buy a coffee with that nowadays. So there we go. So that's my views on Flight Sim 2020. I know that was something that people have been asking about, and I will be going live on Twitch with that. What day are we on today? Thursday, probably over the weekend. I would imagine, especially if the weather's bad and I can't go out and fly. So there we go. Correct on Games Pass. Thanks, Sean. So yeah, go and check it out for £1 on Game Pass. Be aware though, it is a 90 to 95 gigabyte download. So, and that is for the baseline simulator. It then needs an active internet connection at all times, generally, to run and download the information. It is absolutely insane, and that is one of the ways that they make it look so good. A lot of the rendering and stuff is done outside in, I think it's the Azure cloud, and then you get to see that semi-rendered information as it's sent down the pipeline. So if your internet connection isn't fast, or if you're on a limited data kind of package, Flight Sim 2020 perhaps isn't for you, although you can turn down its data usage. You can download and locally cache the maps and areas of interest for you at different levels, low, medium and high levels of detail. But again, it's that trade-off of you're going to have to wait hours. I mean, it took 28 hours for my computer, for my system to download it. And I've got 100 megabits per second connection, which is fully stable. We've got a really quick internet. It was so slow because so many people were downloading it. So you may find it's a bit quicker, but be prepared for 100 gigabytes of download, and mute your sound, because the soundtrack that comes around for 28 hours is a little bit frustrated. But there we go, Flight Sim 2020. Give it a go on Game Pass for £1. And yeah, you can't go far wrong with it. Okay, couple of other bits then. A little bit of admin for everybody. This is where all the concurrent viewers drop off. The channel, I'm sorry I've been quiet over the last few weeks, to say, spending some time with family and the boys in particular, 2 young boys. We've been away on holiday for a couple of nights for the first time ever with them, which is great. Aviation show, we are looking at perhaps dropping this down to once a month. Happy to take your kind of thoughts and guidance on that, but we're starting to get to a point with the family where the boys are wanting to do things in the evening and go to classes and clubs and stuff like that, and unfortunately giving up a night a week to do this isn't something which I think is sustainable on an ongoing basis. So it might be that we do it once a month. On that, we used to do these on Friday lunchtimes, and if you want them more than once a month, I'd just be interested to see whether people would be happy for me to go live on Friday lunchtimes, because it works a little bit easier. It's a little bit easier. It works a little bit better, or Thursday lunchtimes even, although Fridays seem to work best. And then you can always catch up with them afterwards. So, you know, happy to again take your guidance on that. The other one is adverts. So send me your messages on that, and I'll deal with that in however you guys want, because you know it's ultimately for you to give you a bit of bit of community and all that sort of stuff. Let's keep it going for the reasons that we had it for initially. Adverts. So YouTube have gone mad with adverts. They've put mid-roll adverts in, front, pre-roll, end roll, all that sort of stuff. So that isn't us. Okay, that is something that YouTube have done. It's very frustrating. If you're finding that, then if you're finding it frustrating, then please, send messages to YouTube, let them know. On that, one of the things that we are considering is potentially demonetizing the channel and moving across to so that we don't have any of those adverts, and seeing if people would be interested in moving across to a membership platform where you can get access to me every week or something like that, and we do the aviation show once a month for free on the channel, or something like Patreon maybe. Again, happy to take your guidance on that, and interested to see whether people would move across and follow us to there, and how much you would be willing to spend for the content that we bring to you. We are going to go much more into the aviation side of things, away from the drone stuff potentially. There will still be drone stuff when things happen or if questions come in, don't get me wrong, but we will be concentrating on curated content for the aviation side of things. So just again, have a think about these things, everybody, and please let me know what you would like, what would work best for you. Drop me an email, Matt, M-A-T-T with 2 T's, at mrmpw.com, and let me know what you think. And I can see the comments coming in, so thank you for your understanding on that side of things. It does take a lot to do this around running 3 different businesses with a couple more to come, and trying to look after all of the family. James Camwings, what's happening to the roundtable for Hub Sub subscribers? So that was something that I won't go into it properly now, but I don't think we're gonna be able to do those necessarily because of the situation with me having to do this from home, and us not having access to the studio. But yeah, and we've actually removed it from the Hub Sub kind of marketing material now. So give the office a shout if you've got an issue with that, and we'll get that sorted. We decided that we'd just do it online instead. So there we go. Right, one thing I do want to talk about, got a few minutes left if everyone's happy. There was an accident, a drone accident which hit the headlines, if you like, across the drone communities. I don't actually know when the accident itself happened, but involved a large drone. The drone effectively lost GPS or had a compass problem, and drifted with the wind, and the operator wasn't able to, by the looks of things, although this wasn't said in the AAIB's report, the drone crashed into a house a distance away. I am going to do a full in-depth video on this, but all I want to say is that for me, this is one of the exact reasons that, one, the Matrice 300 I don't think is necessarily fit for purpose, although it's an incredible drone, and we've sold a couple, and they work incredibly well. They're great to fly. They do a job. You cannot put it into ATI, which I think is really wrong, personally. And like I say, I've got a full video coming on it, but we all need to just take with a pinch of salt what people are saying on the socials, because a lot of people don't know what they're on about. I think from what I've seen, it was user error, or user incompetence, or lack of competency and currency. And this is the reason that we say to everybody, you need to go out and practice and fly in ATI. Even if your drone flies in GPS, what happens when it loses GPS? And this is something that we said to the CAA when they allowed people to pass the flight exams without having to do any ATI. I get it, it's difficult. How do you practice in ATI if your drone can't do it? How do you make sure you're safe in ATI if your drone can't do it? How do you stay current? For me, that's incumbent on me as a pilot, as an operator, to make sure I can do that, not the manufacturer. So I've always said, and I stand by this, you need to make sure that if you're flying, you are able to fly when things go wrong. If it's me, what I would do is buy something like a cheap hub sand drone that is capable of flying in ATI and practice flying in ATI, everybody. Just to make sure that you aren't someone who I'm talking about on the channel saying, I don't think you were current or competent, albeit you got away with it, luckily. But yeah, I'll drop a link in the description, guys, to the report probably tomorrow. And as I say, I have got a video coming on this. It's just, you know, I can't stress enough. Yeah, you know, Peter Campbell, he's booked 2 hours with Tom for ATI skills. He can fly in ATI, but additional skills are always advantageous. Absolutely, fully agree. So yeah, you know, make sure you can do it, guys, because I don't want anyone who's, you know, been come through our training or been part of this community that we've got here that all hopefully looks out for each other, kind of having an accident or an incident. And then on to my final bit, which again, I want to take your thoughts on, because as I say, this is all about, you know, community and about trying to do things the right way, and trying really to leverage the position that you guys and girls have potentially put me in, as the kind of figurehead, the mouthpiece, if you like, for our side of the community. Now, I've been, it's funny because a lot of people think I'm like the man from the CAA, and that couldn't be further from the truth. In reality, actually, I think that the CAA aren't fit for purpose. And again, I'm going to have a video coming on this. I'm going to have an open letter video, I think, coming on this in the next couple of weeks. So please stay tuned for that. And like I say, you know, go on Discord and let me know. Let's have a chat about this on Discord. Like what you'd like me to do. Let's take that over to Discord so that I can get involved in those conversations. There is a link to Discord down in the video description. Now, my open letter to the CAA will be along the lines of me believing increasingly that the CAA are not fit for purpose when it comes to the drone side of things. I don't think they've got the expertise, particularly with people who've recently left their posts in the CAA SUAS department, and I don't think they've got the processes and the infrastructure that is required. So here are my thoughts between the people who are watching live and anyone who comes to watch it in the next week or so. I am considering pulling a case together to put forward to the Department for Transport to say that the drone department at the CAA aren't fit for purpose based upon the mishandling, I would suggest, of the implementation of the new regulations. Actually, not necessarily the implementation. That's wrong. I think the CAA are capable of regulating because they are the regulator. What I think is that it needs us as a community to say, look, the way that you handle PfCO and communication, the way that you don't handle or mishandle OSC applications is almost, I would suggest, criminal. Perhaps not criminal, that's a little bit too strong, but certainly I think they're opening themselves up for civil litigation based on their lack of process and lack of infrastructure. Just give you an example, we had an OSC application, or one that I consulted on, that was absolutely nailed down, should have been granted back in December. It's gone on and on and on and on. Turns out the CAA were misunderstanding the bow tie safety management system that we used, and in the end, when someone looked at it who understood bow tie, they were like, yeah, it's the best bow tie we've ever seen. Why was this permission not granted to that company 6 months ago then? 8 months ago? You know, how much work has that company lost? I've spoken to another company today that I consult with, and again, I think they've had issues surrounding their safety management system, and CAA have asked for a RAMS. You don't need RAMS if you're using a safety management system, guys. So who have they got looking at these? You know, our RAE renewal. Bear in mind, we were the first RAE in the UK over at UAVHUB, separate company to Mr. MPW, but over at UAVHUB. We were the first to get through. They came out to us, two officers from the CAA. They audited everything. said absolutely brilliant. They took our information away as an example, in their own words, of how it should be done and what it should look like. 10 weeks later, we had our annual renewal, because they only took it up to when our annual renewal would have been, which is fine. Did the annual renewal, going through the annual renewal, and they found a whole bunch of stuff, but it turns out we would have timed out had I not had and albeit we got the information in on time, we were getting strong lines of communication, and it's all because they asked to see certain documents, and our documents are, you know, gigabytes of information. And funny old thing, the CAA can only take 20 megabytes at a time via email. So we sent everything via email, didn't get a bounce back because, you know, it's gone from our server and been accepted, but the CAA server just rejects it internally. So we don't know anything. We don't get told about this. So they don't have the infrastructure in place. Turns out someone at the CAA, then when I called and said, what's going on, this is outrageous, we're going to have to take legal action, they then downloaded our information onto their personal laptop, because that was the only way to get the information into their kind of view, and then showed it to the person that they need to. And that is not the way that a government-backed body, particularly with the losing laptops on trains thing that's happened to the government over the last few years, that is not the way that the regulator, who we are supposed to do everything right. We're supposed to tick all the boxes. We're supposed to dot all the I's. We're supposed to cross all the T's. How is that an appropriate response? If they haven't got the infrastructure, that isn't our problem as a community. It's not your problem as a drone operator. You know, and there are some simple things that they need to fix. They need to fix their communication. We've gone in and offered to help, because I think in general, and I know I rant a little bit about things, but we've offered to help in terms of communication, right? Like, give me the information if you want to. Give it to all the other drone people, you know, Ian in London, give it to Sean, give it to all the people who have got a big following, because actually we are probably the best way to get it out there, rather than someone having to listen to things in a wrong, in a backwards way, being misinterpreted, being, you know, through the rumour mill on Grey Arrows Drone Club or wherever it may be that you've heard it, on a Facebook group. Just give it to the people who can get that information out there properly and let us get it out there. Why does an RAE only get told about changes to regulations after the regulations have been changed, and then we have to find it out from a forum? It is absolutely wrong. It just shows to me, I think, that they mismanage, or that they're incapable of managing it, and they don't have the experience that they need within the team. Okay. And you know, I'm not slagging off by any means anyone in the team. The people, the guys and girls in the team are great. It's the system that doesn't care. It's the system that is broken. It's the infrastructure that isn't in place. But if they want to do what they are trying to do, bear in mind that, you know, the CAA is a profit-making, privately owned organisation, with devolved responsibility granted to them by the Department for Transport. I think it's time now that we as a community start to pull together and perhaps suggest that we set up an association or an organisation which takes control of the regulatory dissemination. We take control of that communication. We look to put in place appropriate checks and balances, and let the CAA, as the regulatory body, do what they should be doing, which is regulating. They regulate up here, and we, as an organisation, are the buffer between the regulator, you know, and the communities. So the FPV community, the professional drone community, the recreational drone community, because at the moment there's none of that. And I know that there are things like ARPAS, you know, there's FPV UK, there are these different associations around, but why are we not, you know, I think it's time. So, and it seems thankfully, like, a few people agree. So if you do agree, please let us know. You know, not that I want to be the man from the CAA, not what I want to be the mouthpiece, although I absolutely won't be if we go down this line. But I think if it's something we're interested in, then let's start to get that going. Come over to the Discord. This isn't a way to try, like a scam to try and get people onto Discord. It's easy to chat on there openly and honestly. Just be careful about what you say, because obviously it is available to everybody in the public. If you want to send something to me kind of privately, then please just drop me an email and I'll get round to them as quickly as I can. And let's see what we can do, you know, because even if we don't end up being able to set something up which takes the devolved responsibility for communication and oversight away from the regulator, maybe we can create a lobbying group, a lobbying organisation, like Lindsay says, which has some actual power, which has some actual sway, which has some vocality about it, which unfortunately it seems like a lot of the other organisations don't have. And I think we could, and I think we need it. I think we need that representation, because otherwise we're going to be snuffed out by the regulations, by the regulator. So let me know what you think. You know, yeah, that's it. But that's my say on that. I will. I'm pulling stuff together at the moment to try and make that happen. We're gonna have to try and find a sponsor or a backer, because these things aren't cheap, right? But I'm sure we can do it as a community. So please, you know, feel free to spread the word on that one and get people to get in touch. And we'll start. And we're going to do it the right way, okay? Not by going heads up against them. We're going to look to do it the correct way, so that we don't put any noises out of joint, but we get our voices heard and we get everything done properly. Interestingly, there is a precedent in that, in so much as the Light Aircraft Association, the LAA, have kind of devolved responsibility now for oversight of things like microlights and ultralight aircraft, because the CAA just really weren't capable of dealing with it. So there we go. Smeghead, thank you ever so much for the super chat. Oh, bless you, missed half the stream. That's all right, mate. It's no problem at all. Hi to you and Shirley. I hope you are well. There we go. So there we are. That is it for this evening, everybody. Unless anyone's got any crazy questions. I saw some bits about simulators. DJI have a simulator. There are a couple out there if you look for drone simulators. Personally, I've not found one, and we did a trial with a company about 18 months ago where we were going to include it with our courses, but it wasn't quite right for me. So yeah, you know, any kind of help on that in there, and I might approach some of those companies again, see if I can get review units and do some reviews on the channel. That might help everybody out if it would let me know. And again, it's more evidence for me to say, look, people want to see this, we've got people on the channel that want to know about it, and we can go from there. Have I missed anything? I don't think so. Good stuff. Right, guys, someone said, am I applying for the CAA UAS compliance role then? Interesting story on that, just before I do sign off. I actually got asked by the CAA to apply for the head of UAS job, which came up a few months ago. I don't know whether you saw it. And I actually said, unless they put a 1 in front of the figure that they were offering, then I wouldn't even consider applying for the job, because I absolutely do not want to be the man from the CAA. Could you imagine that? Talk about poacher turned gamekeeper, actually becoming the person in charge at the CAA. So no, I absolutely won't be applying for the compliance role at the CAA. Quite the very opposite. But there we go. Ladies and gents, thank you ever so much for joining us. Please stay safe. It will be a couple of weeks before we come back. So again, please make sure you follow us on the socials, because I'll let you know what the new schedule is going to be. It looks as though the whole once a month thing and going live on a Friday afternoon probably will work. But again, drop in the Discord, let me know. Let's have a conversation over there. Let's take it all offline, if you like, away from the live show. And I look forward to catching you there. So until the next time, look after yourselves, fly safe, and blue skies.